Morning.
Heather? My Dell laptop has its camera in the bottom left-hand corner. Everybody else is looking straight into the laptop. I've got to look at an angle. It's down in the corner here.
Janelle, is today a work day for you or is it a holiday? Is today President's Day?
No,
No. Okay.
I think that's like the 21st or something.
Ah, okay.
Hopefully everybody had a good weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
Pretty good. I have a new recliner from Johnny Gymnastic that heats and vibrates and massages, and talk about falling asleep in my chair. Like, oh, don't.
Good for you.
I have a bad back, so it's needed. Believe me.
No
Well,
falling asleep during the meeting.
Yes.
Janelle, I have about 3 minutes after 10. Is that what you have?
I do.
Okay, so let's get started because I know we all have things to do. The primary agenda item I have really is to talk about Joe's letter concerning alleys and their part in subdivisions. And I know, I think you bring up some very good points, Joe, and I want us to discuss them. I know one of your first points was that they eat up valuable land. Now, I'm not sure how they take up any more room than driveways would. Particularly as you get into attached housing. If you have a driveway for every 22-foot house, and that driveway is 24 feet long, things start to really add up. And an alley, I think, can be even more efficient than a whole series of driveways.
Well, I was looking at where do you locate the garage here, whether you're building it into the back of the house, so then it opens up into the alley, and then where is the lot line? I mean, do you have the front of the garage on the lot line and have no backyard? I mean, is there a safety area, like a small driveway, so when you pull literally back out of the garage, you have space for the driver to look back and around before backing into an alley where possibly children are playing or people are driving by, things like this. It's a matter of, we just can't throw the term alleys into a new development without providing some ordinance as to how these are being treated. I mean, it's not a quick fix. It has to be looked at for setbacks and backyards. Is it a freestanding? Can you do a freestanding garage and have a backyard behind it? Can you have a garage that is attached to the back of the house and then perhaps get a deck on the top from the second floor? You know, does the house then become an L shape? You know, so there's a lot more to it than just requesting alleys.
Well, I agree. And I think the garage solution depends on the developer. And as you pointed out, you know, it could be a separate structure from the house itself, or it could be attached to the house. All those are good options. And I think in terms of backing into the alley, yeah, we need to look at, should there be a setback from the alley to the garage? All these things are very legitimate. You know, a lot of people put up those sort of mirrors, those convex mirrors, so that they can see into the alley to see if anyone is coming. Should they be one way? It's peculiar. Our regs do mention alleys, but I couldn't find any standards for them. Janelle, is that what you know? Or do you know something else?
So we reference the existing alleys, but we don't really have anything for new ones, but we are addressing some of that in the subdivision code. And I think to help maybe answer some of Joe's concerns is, I think it was not a requirement to do alleys. I think as you guys were talking about, it was an encouragement and an option that would be encouraged. So not everybody would have to do it, but
Right.
maybe in certain places it did make sense. So there is that option that would be encouraged to use the alleys, if I've gotten that right.
Yeah. But I'm looking at the fact that if we have this language in there, the first thing a developer is going to say, well, what's your guidelines? I mean, where is this in the code? You know, what am I permitted to do? Because I doubt whether he or she's going to want to jump through hoops and create their own design that then we won't like because there's nothing, you know, to back it up. So.
Well, I think Janelle is saying that the subdivision committee is going to address this issue and provide some standards. So I think we should keep an eye on what they're going to propose.
Yeah, it was interesting too, as part of the H Park, I went to see, well, it was H Park meeting last Thursday. There's a historic house along Savannah, and the only real way to see the whole part of it was to go behind it. So if you go off of ORR from Savannah, and there's an alley behind there. I had no idea there was an alley back there. And there were garages all over the place. I mean, just, there was no rhyme or reason as to a placement of these garages. So I said, this is really strange. But anyway, very good. Like to see what happens.
I also think what you could do, and just for an idea for you guys to think about, is if you want to treat an alley as a through lot or not, and then you can have accessory structures. Currently, accessory structures, depending on the zoning, can be 3 to 5 feet off of the property line. So if you don't think of the alley as a front yard, that you could have accessory structures closer to the property line.
If you looked at the video I sent from Pittsburgh, the code they have there are garages built right on the property line, because the lots are like maybe 35 feet wide. And one way to get any space or access is to put it up against the property line. So then you have to have like twin garages for the adjacent homeowners who share that common property line to have a 1 or 2 car garage to the left or right of that. But we don't do property line building here.
Well, the other issue is what is the right of way of the alley? In other words, you know, what is the pavement width is one issue, but then what is the right of way? I'm not exactly sure how wide the alley is in Chip Carpenter Square. It may be 24 feet, it may be 26, it may be 28. I just looked at it from Google Earth and couldn't really measure it more precisely than that. But I'm assuming that the right of way is even bigger than that. So say the right of way is 30 feet or maybe 40 feet. I mean, it doesn't have to be full public road standard because you can have a one-way alley system. So the right of way could be less. So say the right of way is 30 feet and the pavement is 24 feet. For a one-way road, you know, that's certainly more than efficient. And then you have some breathing space between the pavement and the garage, if the garage is in fact on the property line. So I think you bring up very good points. I think that kind of thing needs to be thought through. And we need to set some standards. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay. Some of your other issues were, let's see, maintenance of the alley. Again, if it's a public right of way, then the city, I'm assuming, would assume maintenance of the alley. And then public safety concept. What were you concerned about with that, Joe?
Not so much here, but from my days in Pittsburgh, it's how can I be discreet here? It's an area where things happen. I mean, just, if you're looking out your front window in a well-lit street, you can see cars driving by and all that stuff. But sometimes in the back of houses where the lighting isn't all that great, you may have strange cars driving in, strange people, there's that perception of the danger that alleys present with things happening back there. That's where kids go to drink and smoke. It's just, but that's just a local paranoia. But anyway, we'll see what the public says.
Well, there should be some lighting, because Joe's right on that.
Okay, so we need to alert the subdivision committee that there should be a lighting standard for alleys, as well as right-of-way width and pavement width and that kind of thing. Okay. It's curious. I also lived on an alley when I lived in Baltimore, and the kids, that was their perfect play space. That the kids were always playing ball games in the alley, and it actually, I thought, made the alley safer because they occupied it for so much of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Of course, in the evening, it did go dark, go quiet. Utility locations, I think, again, the city needs to set a standard on that. Do they want utilities in the rear, or do they want them fed from the front of the house? Again, I think that's an engineering issue, but I don't think an alley engenders much more utility than perhaps a few storm drains, and perhaps the lighting. So from those two perspectives, perhaps it does involve some additional cost, but I don't really think it's a huge amount.
Yeah.
Well, let me say that I think you could do the lighting the way that was suggested for the Verdon property, the Verdon subdivision, where everybody just had a light out there. It was on from dusk to dawn.
Yeah. No, if you're looking for a developer to provide incentives to build an alley, the fact that utilities, they wouldn't have to be paying BPW to reimburse them for doing them underground up front. If the electric and cable and whatnot could be strung to the back of the house from a few utility poles, instead of being buried underground in the front, this might provide a little incentive to provide alleys. Let me see what the write-off will be on that. So.
I don't know. I don't think the utilities are doing any above ground stuff anymore. But again, that's not my expertise.
Right. I don't know.
Okay. Sidewalks. I don't think we need sidewalks in an alley. But again, that's a standard that the subdivision committee needs to come up with.
Parking also.
So the subdivision regs did have a definition they said that an alley is a strip of land municipally or privately owned, no dwellings or storefront services as rear access to two or more properties, serving two or more properties. So that's the limit of the city's definition. So I think we need a better definition also on an alley. Okay, and just again about the issue of increased runoff. I did some calculations based on Ship Carpenter Square and looked at the impervious of the alley that serves Ship's Carpenter Square. And then I divided that total by the number of units in Ship Carpenter Square. But Ship Carpenter Square is fairly small, has larger lots than I believe a developer would provide in an annexation zone, because they're looking for higher density than Ship Carpenter Square is. So I basically doubled and tripled the number of units that would be served by the impervious of the alley. And it turned out that it was a wash, that there was no real increase in impervious or a significant increase in impervious. And that was based on the development being single family detached. So if you did, again, if you did single family attached, the number would again be reduced even more. So the alley was pretty efficient in terms of impervious. Okay. I think that's all I had for today's meeting. Let's see, Janelle, that we're making a presentation to the City Council. Is that right? Are we on their agenda for this issue?
On the agenda. They have a very busy February agenda, so it might end up having to get pushed to March.
Okay.
I'll see what I can do, because it's going to be a very long February agenda at this
Okay.
point. But I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Well, I have no problem going to March if
Okay.
that eases their burden.
It
But
might help
if
them out
so, I
just a
want to be
little bit.
first on the agenda.
Hope we all.
Okay, Bob, did you have anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Good. I'm good.
Okay.
I just have
Joe?
a question. Janelle, will you be in City Hall today, this afternoon, or anything?
Yes.
You're not at home now, are you?
No, I'm in the office.
Yeah, okay. Because
You
I
just don't need to see the messiness behind me.
it doesn't look like City Hall.
It's a
no.
very busy office at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I have to pick up those H-Park plans, and I want to stop and ask you questions. Okay, I'm good then.
Me also.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right.
Okay. See you at the Planning Commission meeting.
Do you want to
Very good.
schedule another meeting?
Ooh.
I
Or do you
don't think
wanna
so.
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you then.
Okay.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.